So Dana, you quit a job that you were obviously getting a lot of money at. It was a six-figure salary.
Yeah, you can live like a poor person in Thailand for $1,000 a month if you're a foreigner. Are you going to be happy? Probably not.
Hey folks, Pete here from Thairish Times, coming at you from rush hour Bangkok. You can see it's very busy at the moment.
It's 5 p.m. and oh wow, we got traffic in Bangkok. The busiest junction in the city right here, Asok.
Anyway folks, today we have an interview for you with Dana, a man who quit his engineering job to move to Thailand. A six-figure engineering job. We're talking a lot of money here. He moved to Thailand. We're going to ask him why did he do that. We're also going to talk to Dana about the cost of living in Thailand. You see a lot of videos online at the moment saying you can live in Thailand for 20,000, 25,000, 35,000 baht a month, $1,000 a month. Is it true? Dana's going to give his opinion as well. So without further ado, let's get into the video, folks. I hope you enjoy it, and please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button and leave me a comment. We're on the magical road to 10K. I need your help to get there.
Dana.
Petey, my boy.
We're doing it.
Again.
Yeah.
With audio this time.
We got good audio, we got lots of cameras, we are rolling, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
So Dana, tell us, where are you from and what brought you to Thailand?
Yeah, so originally, so I'm from the US. I grew up in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, small sort of blue-collar industrial city in the northern part of the state. And I've lived all over the US. And then about almost 10 years ago now, I moved from the US to Thailand. So a number of different reasons. Really, I was sick of my job in the US. I was an engineer. Pretty good job. But it wasn't what I expected being an engineer to be, or what it would be. And I was really sort of disenchanted with the work and with the company and a lot of things. And I figured, hell, I'll make the move. Maybe I'll do a PhD. I just finished grad school. And Thailand is where I landed, luckily.
So tell us about this place. What's going on here?
Sure. So this is SV Design Studio, short for Supervillain Design Studios. And this is the base of operations where we operate our design studio out of. And so we do you see a lot of sewing machines here. We do a lot of like garment product development, but we also do product design, some UI UX we're getting into. Jib is very big in the craft design world. So we've toyed around with numerous areas.
And how did you get the idea to get into this kind of business in Bangkok?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've been in the tech world for a long time. I was an entrepreneur before I was an engineer, then after. I had a wearable tech company here, a biometrics company as well, with varying success. And I've always really enjoyed design, sort of as a hobby in that regard. And Jib was a scientist, my wife. And she left her job and started her craft business, like doing a lot more like teaching craft or like designing patterns for different things. And it sort of began to overlap more and more as we've been together for a long time. And it sort of evolved into what it is today, just sort of organically.
I watched a video that you did about a year ago. And the video said that you were an engineer in America. And there was a point where you were at lunch with two other guys, and you were discussing what was in the pipeline for your work in the future. And you said that it didn't interest you. And that was like one of those moments in your life where you were like, okay, I need to get out.
Yeah, I remember that lunch very well, actually. And like two good guys, but we were in a position where I worked for a very large service provider in the US. I was a telecom engineer. And we were in a place where a lot of the work at the system level where I was becoming more controlled by corporate, and our job was becoming more like technicians. And if I wanted to continue doing the type of like engineering design function I had been doing, like designing new networks, building out infrastructure, I would have had to move to Atlanta where the corporate office was. And I remember these two guys were both sort of excited because the workload was going to become lower. And I wasn't so excited by that. Like, I didn't want to just troubleshoot small issues for like customers. I wanted to build big projects. That's why I became an engineer. And that was really what sort of set me on this course of find an exit.
What was the exit strategy?
So I didn't know at the time, right? When I thought of that, I was like, how can I exit? And so I knew that if I moved overseas, there was other things about like life. I was living in Ohio at the time, and if anyone's ever been to Ohio, it's cold, and winters are long, and it's not that it's a bad place. It just wasn't the right place for me. And I knew I wanted to move somewhere else in the world. I'd been to Asia a lot over the past like decade before that. And I was like, well, let me see where I can go. And I just started to look at like options. Like, could I do a PhD overseas? Could I work overseas? You know, what route could I take to like justify in my own mind to leave? But in reality, I didn't need to justify it. I could just gone, right? Like I spent probably like another 6 months like figuring out this exit. In reality, I was in a position already where I could have just gone and not had to sell myself on it.
I was getting a phone call from Noon.
Tell her I say hi. Tell her I say top of the morning.
Cut her off straight away. I'm in the middle of an interview. We're filming it right now. Please don't call.
Top of the morning to you, Noon.
So Dana, you quit a job that you were obviously getting a lot of money. I mean, it's a video that you made. It was a 6-figure salary.
Yeah.
Are you happier in Thailand now?
1,000% yes. You don't even need to finish that question. 1,000% yes.
Why?
I have a better lifestyle. I mean, I've done financially fine for myself. I'm not worried about money, luckily. You know, but it's just, I am in a much happier place. The lifestyle I was living in Ohio wasn't the lifestyle I want to live. I live that lifestyle now, for sure. I live in Bangkok, which I would argue with anyone is the greatest city in the world. At least for me it is. I love it here. You know, is it the perfect place? Of course not. Nowhere is perfect. But is it pretty amazing? Absolutely. Do I live the way I want? 100%. We live on our studio where we work, which is fantastic. My commute is a staircase every day. I come downstairs. I don't have to own a car. I had cars in the US. I'm not a fan of driving. I hate commuting. It's such a waste of productive time. And like to not have to do that, I have great public transportation available to me, from the BTS to the subway, the MRT, to motorcycle taxis, to, which I know you hate, but and for the reason you hate them, I understand. But also like the Songtels, I can take like the little pickup truck Songtel down for 6 baht on my soy. So yeah, I have access to food I love. I'm around amazing people all the time. I have great friends. What's there not to love? Of course. Like, I'm so happy I gave up that job as an engineer.
Are you here for the long term?
Thailand is my home.
Okay.
It's where my heart is, and that's where home is.
What advice do you have for people that are considering relocating to Thailand?
Do it. Do it now. Get to the chopper. If you're thinking about it, you should do it. Like, there's no reason not to. You know, if you love it here, right? If you're in a position where you financially can do it, or you believe that you can work here and sustain your life, absolutely. Don't come here though and expect like a Western standard of living. It is very, to me, like to live, if you lived in suburban Ohio or suburban Cleveland and you expect to come here and have a, 500 square meter house and 3 cars and like live that same way, understand that it's unlikely at any price point. And with realistically, it's just not the way you would want to live here, in my opinion. Understand that you adjust to living somewhere new the same way you would anywhere else. It's not some utopia where you can come with and live for, like, I'm sure you see these videos that say you can live in Thailand for $1,000 a month. Like, yeah, you can live like a poor person in Thailand for $1,000 a month if you're a foreigner. Are you going to be happy? Probably not. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of those videos being made, isn't there? And yeah, like you said, yeah, you could live as a poor person, but do you really want to move to another country and then scrape the bottom of the barrel and scrimp and worry about money and watch and be on a really, really, really tight budget?
Show me a decent neighborhood in the city where you're going to live for $1,000 a month. Well, like, it's unlikely. Like, even if you find cheap rent that's going to, in Bangkok, on Sukhumvit, 12,000 baht a month maybe is like a affordable place.
I'd say more.
Yeah,
in Sukhumvit, in Asok.
Not in Asok, for sure.
You're talking about minimum maybe 16, 17.
Electricity, depending on your building, if you pay government rate or another rate, it's not horrible. Water is like basically free here. Like, our water bill is nothing. I'm sure yours is probably like 100 baht a month. Like,
yeah, it's crazy cheap.
Yeah, it's stupid. But electricity is moderately expensive. You're going to be running your aircon if you're in a condo whenever you're inside, right? And then you go out to eat, right? You eat street food, couple bucks a day, but you're not going to eat that every day, right? You're going to want to go out with your friends, have a couple beverages occasionally, you know, not necessarily just sitting outside of a 7-Eleven sipping on a Leo, right? But you may want to go to, what's your favorite bar there? Scruffy's or whatever?
I do like Scruffy's for a pint of Guinness.
When Guinness is available in the country, right?
Yeah. It's back now.
Oh, is it back?
Yeah, it was gone for like a month.
Yeah, that's happened a few times since I've lived here, actually. Guinness has been, like, unavailable.
So, Dana, you've got a channel, right, called Idea Studio. And
correct.
It's very obvious when I watch your channel that you have a passion for design. You're an innovative, creative person.
Thank you.
You make great content on, you know, deep cultural insights about Thailand.
I appreciate that.
You really, when you go to an area, you really explore, you do the research, and you produce in-depth content, right? What do you think about YouTubers that use sex for views and subs?
Sex sells, right? That's the saying, sex sells. Fine, it works. It doesn't mean you have to sell it, but you don't have to use it to sell, but it does work. I mean, I'll compare it to this. Like, if you look at, like, TV commercials, right? They all have attractive people. They all have, you know, some type of vibe about, like, fun, sexy, pretty, something going on in it. Right? You don't see a big bearded dude in a TV commercial selling you a good time. It's not how it works. So if that's how you want to grow, if that's how you choose to grow, the audience you attract will probably be the audience that's attracted to that. And can you continue to sell that forever? Maybe. Sure. Will you grow fast? Probably. But you don't have to sell that. And I don't want to knock anyone for going after the bag, right? Like, do you, but I'm going to do me.
So, Dana, who inspires you?
A lot of people. You inspire me, Pete. That's it. Done.
That's it.
Interview's over.
Question answered.
A lot of people. My wife inspires me, like, incredibly. Hard worker, very creative. We have a great relationship where we challenge each other's ideas and concepts and push each other to do better. But just, like, a lot of people who are just, like, hardworking, out there grinding every day, right? And then successful people, like, you know, you look at, like, people who have, like, really committed to their craft or really committed to mastering something. Like, I find that inspiring on, like, a huge level. So it could be, like, a teacher who's just, like, really committed to teaching, super detailed, like, great lesson plans, like, getting out there and improving young minds. It could be a cook who's created the perfect pad krapao, right? Like, all of those things. Like, Chris is a guy who inspires me for sure. Like, a retired dude who just, like, started making videos about like COVID deaths in his home country. Turns into the biggest channel in Thailand for foreigners.
Okay, so Dana, we're getting deep now with this question.
Okay.
How do you
6
want
inches. Oh, sorry. 4.5. Okay, 2. No.
How do you want to be remembered after you're gone?
As the greatest beard to ever do it. How do I want to be
Seriously.
remembered?
Think about it.
Yeah.
What do you want people to say about you after you're gone? I told you we're getting deep.
Yeah. We could have eased into this one a bit, Pete. You dove right off the deep end with that, huh? If I'm going to be remembered for something, I want it to be having pursued the things I was passionate about. Success or not, that I went for it.
That's a good way to be.
We'll see what happens.
Are you a risk taker?
I would say I'm not risk averse. I'm comfortable with a moderate level of risk. A very safe answer.
Do you think the type of person that moves while they're young to Asia or to another country and moves across the world is someone who takes risks?
Adventurous more than risk taker. I would, when you're young, so like when you're in your 20s, it's definitely less risky. I was in my 30s. I mean, so it wasn't like, if I did it today, if I had worked as an engineer for another decade and did it today, I would have much more to lose, right? Because these like your 40s to your mid 50s are sort of like your prime earning years, right? So I'd be leaving at the beginning of that and moving somewhere new and starting over. So you're risking much more in that regard. So
But is money everything though?
Well, if you think about the way the normal person lives in America, right? Like you're probably leveraging your earnings against debt the entire time, right? Not everyone's even people, I know people who have made 6 figures for the past decade and wouldn't be in a position to walk away financially because they're too stuck. It's a sad way of life, unfortunately, that kind of America has sucked a lot of people into. And I think a lot of places in the world are very similar. A lot of Western countries where, salaries have become higher, and so has the standard of living and the expectation of your peers of the way that you live. A lot of people get sucked into that. So is money everything? No, absolutely not. But do you need money to live? Absolutely. Like, would I want to be, again, like I said, I don't think you should move here and like figure out like, oh, I could be a teacher and teach, and I've never done it before. Definitely not the way to go about it. And like make 30,000 baht a month and spend half of that on a place and scrape by with food every month or whatever. But can you come here with nothing and be successful? Yes, I know people have done it. Again, higher risk tolerance than me, perhaps, for sure. Did I have a little something in the pocket when I came here? Yes. Did it help me? Did it lend to my success long term? Yes.
Dana, if you could go back and change anything,
yeah,
would you do it? Are there any regrets?
It's tough to say no, there are no regrets, right? I think anyone who's lived life to any extent has regrets. Do I want to change them? No, not necessarily. In yes, like very cliche way, they were a learning experience. Like anyone would say, like you learn from your mistakes, but ultimately, what you've done leads to where you are. And I'm very happy with where I am. So why would I want to change that? I don't know that there was an other path to get here. And there might have been a better path to get here. There may have been a path that brought me to somewhere else that I enjoy more. But I don't know, right? All of that is unknown. And all I do know is that I'm here, I'm happy, I love life. Why would I want to change that? And on top of it, I can't change it. So it's a mute question in that regard, Pete. Would you change anything about your 10 years ago?
No. I never lived with regrets, ever.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't anyway, right? So why focus on it? I think that's one of the things I've learned being in Thailand is not that I ever obsessed on the past, but the Buddhist way of kind of looking at things is that, like you live in the here and now, in the moment, right? You can't dwell on the past.
Dana, it's been a pleasure.
Indeed, Pete.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a strong handshake.
I got a few things I use for grip strength.
So I'm going to leave a link for Dana's channel in the description box. Go over, subscribe to Dana, watch his videos, great content. And we are on the magical road on Thairish Times to 10K.
Same with me.
You're on the
very
magical
close.
road.
Magical
We're
road.
both on the magical road.
If you look at the top of my comments, it says the road to 10. The top of my description, it always says the road to 10K.
It's a magical road.
Magical.
It's like that yellow brick road.
I crossed 8,000 not that long ago, so it's like inching along.
We're getting there. We're nearly there. Thank you very much, and see you on the next one.